Hey, welcome back to the Drum Rundown. We are here in Nashville, Tennessee at the Woolworth Theater, and I'm sitting with a very old friend of mine, one of the first drummers I met when I moved to Nashville, Caleb Crosby of Tyler Bryant and the Shakedown. What is going on, my dude?
We're here, Woolworth Theater, downtown Nashville. It's awesome.
That's
happy
so
to
cool.
see you again.
Man, it's so good to connect
It's awesome,
with you, man.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for doing this with me.
Of course,
thanks for having
dude.
me.
It's good to connect because you're a Gretsch guy.
I am.
And I wanted to talk to you about what you got going on here. What do you got?
Yeah, so I've been with Gretsch since 2009. And when I first met Tyler, we did a couple of showcases kind of out west in LA, and actually through Fender, which is why we're here right now. And so I met a bunch of the Gretsch folks, and they hooked me up, and I've been playing them ever since. They were my favorite drums since I started playing when I was 10 years old, and so happy to be carrying the torch. But this kit right here is a Gretsch. It's the Brooklyn series. I love this finish. It's called Sky Blue Pearl, and when this kit was built for me, this was actually, I could be wrong, but they told me this was the first Brooklyn in this finish.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so I'll just brag about that.
That's
I guess.
cool,
but,
man.
But yeah, so mega cool. But I love it. It has a vintage look and sound as well. But I'm such a fan. Big kick. I've also got a 26 that matches this as well.
Nice.
I love playing the 24 live, but I use that 26 in the studio all the time. It's awesome. 1316, and this is a chrome over brass 6.5 14, and I have a bell brass as well back here. That's kind of my I honestly like kind of the mood that I'm in is what I throw up because they both sound awesome, and kind of depending on the room and what I'm really going for. I've been really leaning to this chrome over brass, and I got it about 10 years ago, and put a little bit of new hardware on it just because I've beat the hell out of it for a long time.
Can't go wrong with chrome over brass.
But I love it, man. It's so great. It really works well in different rooms, and I love it in the studio. Use it all the time, and it's great.
Cool. So when you're outside and you're playing, because I know you guys do a lot of like huge outside stuff, well, which way do you kind of lean on your snare when you're in those environments?
I would say, honestly, lately, especially the big shows that we've been doing in Europe, I don't fly with this bell brass because it's so heavy.
Okay.
It's so heavy. So I always take this chrome over brass. So in Europe, that's my drum.
Gotcha.
Some of the stuff that we've done with GNR and stuff like that here, I've definitely leaned on the bell brass. So, but because it's a great drum as well, man. It's awesome. But like I said, I go through my phases where I'm like, man, I just like, it feels good and I don't want to change it, and so that's like maybe where I land, and this is where I've been for a few years now, really. When I first ordered this kit, I ordered the bell brass with it, and I didn't play anything but the bell brass.
Yeah.
I tuned it down. I played on my wife she's in real estate now, but she had a solo record come out, and man, I tuned that thing down and put a bunch of gaff on it, and just like big and beefy, and because normally you think bell brass and you think like ringy and loud, and like and man, it just does it all.
Yeah,
it's crazy, and it sounded really great, and I left it like that for a while and just used it in the studio like mad, and then when I brought it back out, I like high tension, ringy, yeah, man. So it's a great drum.
It's cool to know that it can do the lower tuning though, that you can get that like beef and heft.
A lot of times metal drums don't always do that. And
outside of like the Black Beauty,
of course, and that can do everything, but
also not taking that on a plane.
Yeah, for sure. I had a Black Beauty when we first started touring that got stolen. With a bunch of our fans know the story of like our gear getting stolen because it was Tyler's main pink Strat, and that got stolen along with it. So they had several guitars stolen. I just had that and like a tambourine, and so I lucked out a little bit, but I loved that Black Beauty, man. I loved it, and it was like my first big purchase when I moved to Nashville. Went to Forks Drum Closet. I had saved up some money, and I bought that Ludwig, man, and I loved it. I used it a lot at school when I went to college, and somebody's out there playing it right now, I'm sure.
Yeah, so. Well, hope you're enjoying that Black Beauty.
Hope you're enjoying it, man.
Send us a link to the track you recorded on it. We want to see how it sounds.
Yeah.
Cool. So in terms of the shell construction, what are the plies?
Yeah, so these are 6-ply drums.
Okay.
And man, I love it. And I just think they sound really warm. When these drums first were introduced at NAMM, Andrew Shreve at Gretsch was like, hey, any interest in like kind of starting to play these out live? And I'd played a few, just from that they had shipped to Nashville, like at some of the drum stores. And man, I just was such a fan. I loved the kind of the response that it gave. The like I said, how warm they were. But these also have great tuning capabilities as well. They sound great cranked up. Like if you watch guys like Keith Carlock, like he plays Brooklyn as well, and like he's got kind of higher tuned toms, and they sound really great. They also sound. I love like my floor tom to be low and growly, to almost have like a bit of like wow kind of to it, and they sound great like that as well. And so really in any instance that I've used these drums, they've always delivered. And so that's really, you know, when you buy a kit, you want it to be able to be very versatile, and I love it. And obviously it does its thing live, but you know, I've used these in studio settings as well, and they sound great.
Yeah. And what were the sizes again?
So 13x9, 16/16, 24/14, and then I've got a 26/14 that matches as well. That is money. I mean, it is like, I almost brought it, to be honest, but then it would have been a pain to set it up. Yeah. But this is great. I've got the flat head on the front with the band logo. And so I've got the 2 Kelly shoe mounts in this. Yeah. And so I've got the horseshoe mount, and then I've got the 91 at the bottom. And so what I did is I took it over to my buddy Andy at Drum Supply, and he drilled 2 holes. So we've got the XLR ports on the side here, and so the mics just ride always in the kick drum. And so it's super convenient in venues to just you plug in and you're ready to go.
That's so
and
slick,
so
man.
It's awesome, and I love the response too of no port. Because it's a different thing, you know, and you can really pull off and get that full resonance rather than just like really burying the beater. Yeah. And, you know, I do a lot of teaching as well, and I teach a lot of that too. And you know, there's some guys that really just bury the beater, and some guys that pull off. And technically, the proper thing is to pull off and get the full resonance. And a lot of times live, you don't get that. Yeah. You know, you're not hearing that, especially with the port and stuff like that. In the studio, sure, high fidelity mics, you know, it's happening. But live, I feel like I'm getting that response, and that drum is like talking to me that way. And so I really enjoy that.
That's cool. And what are you burying it with?
Yeah, so 5,000s always for me. Always DW 5000s.
Same.
Yeah, I just like always and forever.
Yeah.
I had a bunch of 9000s, and I still have them. I like them, but man, I just really started leaning towards the 5000s, which I had forever. And when the 9000s came out, I bought them because I was like, oh, they're cool, and they're And so
who's not going to buy a Lexus?
Of course, yeah, totally. And so for me, I think that they're the perfect weight, the perfect response. I'm the type of guy too that like out of the box puts it on. It's perfect. I don't make any changes. I don't, you know, I've got a Danmar Beater on here that I'm trying out, and I really like it, and it feels great out of the box, just right on and perfect.
Yeah, I had a 5000. I actually have the heelless. It doesn't have the heel plate on it.
Yeah, okay. And you like that?
Yeah, dude, it's awesome because you just kind of drive through and you're right into the floor.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I love that.
And it saves you a couple bucks.
Yeah, I've never played one of those.
Yeah, it's fun. Well, I'll bring it over. You can play mine.
I got to check that out.
But I would say, for pedals, it's like out of the box, don't change anything, and it's like it feels great.
It's perfect, always.
I love that.
It's always perfect for me. Yeah. It always has been. Same with the hi-hat stand, and I'm a 2-legged guy always. I just have been, and I think that the weight for me always feels better because I'm always driving back, and for whatever reason, the 3-legged stand just feels different to me. Yeah. I think probably a lot of it is just repetition and comfort, and like that's what I was used to. The 5000 stuff is awesome.
Awesome, very cool. And hey, we got to talk about the thing.
Yeah, so this is the thing, man, and this has got such a history and such a story. I was a big marching band guy growing up, and in high school, I had those chops. I played snare, and I was all about it. Did an indoor drum line, all of that. When I moved to Nashville, I thought I was going to continue doing it, but I didn't, and I started playing, more contemporary. I was playing drum set, and I was just like, no more. But I think those chops really mean something, and they're valuable, really, in the long run when you have them. But this drum was from the pit ensemble, like the front ensemble. And a buddy of mine, Jamie, was the auxiliary percussion guy. And he had like a pearl rack that had a bunch of stuff on it. Some concert toms, ribbon crashers, suspended cymbal, whatever, wood block, just like a bunch of percussion stuff. And he had this gong bass drum that was mounted like this. So it's got the double pearl bracket. Okay, and we've rigged it to where I mount it on one side, and there's a quick clip 52 that's basically like drilled into the other side.
Cool.
So the 52 just comes on and off. So live in our show, I pick this thing up. It's mobile, so I'm not wireless mic. I'm just I can pick it up. So I get, like, when we do the big stadium shows, I get a 100-foot cable, so I can take this thing and just roll with it. I can go up the catwalk, do whatever I want to do, and so it's really great. And I'm also like not the kindest to it, and I like kind of throw it around and stuff, which is why we haven't done the wireless pack yet, because it's like the mic is one thing, but you have that pack on it. It's like it's a lot heavier and stuff like that. From Lexington, Kentucky, we did a club show. This was 2011 probably, and we were staying with my folks. We were staying with my parents, and that drum was in the corner of the room. And Tyler said something to me about it. He's like, "Hey, what is that?" Like, he wanted to know what it was, and I was like, "Oh, it's this Gong Drum." And I, sometimes I use it. I used to, when I first had it, I set it up on my left side because there was this drummer that I listened to and still love today called Marco Miniman. His name is Marco Miniman. He's like a German guy, crazy, like plays wild music, does solo stuff. But he always had his on his left side where he could kind of almost double as a set, he kind of move his left hand. It was really awesome. And so I that night I was like, you know what? He was like, you should set it up. And so I did. I set it up at the kit. I think it was actually more off stage, but like I think our sound guy played it at some point. It was a party that night. We were just, so then, like, I think the next show or maybe the following show, we were in Grand Rapids. I remember this vividly, and he was like, called a solo for me, and for whatever reason I just grabbed that thing and I ran forward and I ran off stage and I just started going for it. And some of that, like, I was playing the rim, I was playing the side, I was playing just whatever, and I was just kind of, and it was the kind of going back to the marching band sort of thing, like where those chops are. It was like, all that stuff coming flooding back, but and then it became a thing. It was like suddenly the thing, and it was like this like visceral moment that was like really fun. Everybody congregated around me. We had no idea what we were doing. It was just this thing. And then obviously it started to get a little bit more rehearsed, more structured. We were figuring out certain things to do. And so over the years, I had it, I took it to Andy as well, Drum Supply, and he cut it down. It's a 20-inch drum. It's actually a Slingerland drum. It's a 20-inch drum. It was 20 by 14. And I took it in. The shell was in rough shape because I'd thrown it around, and it was already in rough shape. And the reason that I took it is because when I graduated, they're throwing all these drums away. Okay. And they were basically like, hey, if you want one, take it. So this is the one drum that I took. I was like, I don't know. I think I'll do something with it one day. And here we are, 20, Dude, I've used it forever. That's cool, man. And so, so he rewrapped it for me, cut it down, and now it's like 20 inches by like 9 3/4. He cut all the bad shell out of it, and I'm sure it's got some bad as well. It's kind of like it needs some TLC, but to me it's a thing, and it's like, so the way I treat it live, you can watch videos on YouTube. I just go for it, and this is probably my 30th metal rim that I've gone through because these things just get torn up, but I buy them and just have them on standby and just switch them out. This one's brand new. Put it on right before soundcheck. It had to look nice for the rig rundown. But it's funny, man, because these all get, the rods get, the thing just goes through hell. And so, but it's a lot of fun, and it's a really like a centerpiece of our show. Yeah. And so it's really cool. And every time we do acoustic shows or like radio stuff, it's like, I think I just shy away from the cajon, man. I just don't I don't want to do it. So what I do, man, is I throw like a little bandana on this, get it like real muffled, and I just kind of, but you can hear what it's. Yeah, man. Right? I mean, it's killer. I mean, it's awesome. So live, I'll do like a. So then you can kind of get to the side of the drum. So, super cool.
Yeah, very awesome. And I mean, you're playing it like a snare, but it's set up like a bass drum.
Yeah, totally. It's hard to get some like really like any doubles out of it. They don't speak as well, so you can do some singles on it and be killer. So, yeah, man, it's awesome. It's like almost my version of my 808, right?
That's it.
Boom. And so in the kit, it's kind of more of like I don't use it really as a tom. I don't do fills around it, but it's a big like
just a sub drop.
Totally. It's like it's like an accent drum. Yeah. Taiko drum, some people would say. Right. Right. So if I'm doing big like big moments where I'm doing that, right? To have that in addition to really adds a lot.
Right.
So,
yeah, you're gonna feel that in the back row.
Totally.
You know
and
what I
so
mean?
then when you have your sub and you're like, all right, cool, send my kick through it, send the bass through it, send my gong drum through it, and it's
Yeah.
it's the best. It's awesome. So especially in those big stadiums,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
And you're getting a lot of that tone from that EMAD.
Yeah, man. So the EMAD, I like the thicker, because you don't want it to ring
The thicker
much. You want
foam.
it to, yeah, the thicker foam, because it comes with the tube.
Yep.
Always put the thicker foam in it, and I love. And so also the other thing about the EMAD is always the EMAD heavyweight, right? I want it to be as durable as possible because I do play it hard, and the way that I play it is pretty intense. So funny story, the last weekend run that we did. Weekend before last, I had a standard EMAD. I messed up by accident and bought just a standard EMAD, and I went through it in 2 shows. And so it was kind of one of those things where, like, this one, and I'll change them very often, and I'm sure, some people watching this have some of our heads, because we always either give them away or sell them at the merch booth, because I go through a bunch of them. But yeah, the heavyweight, man, it lasts me a lot.
That's
longer.
awesome.
Yeah, durability is, and I just love the way it sounds, man. I got a little patch on it, and it's killer.
Yeah, it's super awesome. It sounds great.
Thank you.
Cool. And cymbals.
Yes.
Some of my favorites. What do you got?
Yeah, so kind of done a bunch with Paiste. Same deal. Like, I met the Paiste guys right around the time I met the Gretsch folks, and been with them since 2009 as well, and haven't switched. Just love the cymbals, love what they do, love the new series they come out with. But man, this cymbal right here is my favorite cymbal of all time, and the 24 Giant Beat is like the center of, I feel like, my sound, and has been since the beginning, and it's always been what I use. There was a stint where I used the 24 Big Beat, but I broke it, and I was like, I'm going back to the Giant Beat. I've been through a bunch of them, but I love them, man. Everything about them, the way it crashes, the way you lean into it. You can be delicate with it. It's got a great bell as well. So to me, a lot of our music is, if I'm being real delicate with it, I'm on the bell.
Yeah.
Right? Most of the time. But to me, it has the perfect amount of wash. When you lay into it, it's like when it really opens up and is killer. And I love it. So that's my 1 Giant Beat cymbal. Over here, I have a 21 Big Beat. This series is killer as well. These just sound awesome. I think for me, they kind of land like in the middle of a Giant Beat in a 2002. Yeah. They sound great. I'm using a 19 Formula 602 over here. This is something I've been using the last couple years, and I love it. I think it complements really well with this 21. Forever, I was using standard 2002s. Yeah. And the mediums I had some like signature ones that I was using. But this, for whatever reason, this setup is where I really landed, and I love it. And it sounds really great, and they complement each other really well. So you get like a nice splash over here, but I like the bigger one on my left side.
A little more sustained.
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
Yeah. So here is kind of a bit of a hodgepodge. My top hi-hat is broken right now. These are on back order, and I'm waiting for them to send me some more. So I've got a bottom Giant Beat. So I'm using 16-inch hats. Yeah. All right.
Big boys.
Yeah, big boys. I have gone from, I did 15, I did 18, and so now I'm like leaning it. 18 was great, but it's just too much, and you don't get quite the crispiness of what a 15 would be. But the 16, you get a little bit more of the bulk that you're looking for. And so I've got a top 16 Big Beat, and then a bottom 16 Giant Beat. So I've got obviously the pairs to match it, but for whatever reason, this combination is what I love. You get good like response here. I do a lot of, like in our live show, I do a lot of like tambourine. And I like them to be pretty open too. And I like that angle, like on that 5,000 stand, to be pretty aggressive, you know? So I'm getting a lot of that chunky chick. So yeah, man. Pretty great. Yeah. So that's it, really, man. I feel like there for a while. I used kind of one of the LP. I also use a bunch of LP stuff. Shout out to LP because those guys are great. We've got a couple tambourines and stuff. But I used one of their trash can like beer keg looking guys as a second floor tom, and it was really awesome. And then I realized I just wanted to take less on the road. You know? I guess one other thing I should talk about, and really the only reason that I introduced that 18-inch floor tom is because we have a song that I use a cymbal on the floor tom. And I wanted to be able to have my floor tom accessible. So that's why I got another one, so I could put the cymbal on it and still be able to have my drum kit. Because when you throw it on a 4-piece kit, you're now losing you know, and yeah, you can supplement the gong, but it's not the same. So what I do is I make it through the song, and then our tech comes up and grabs it off, and so I have the floor tom for the outro once I'm done with the groove. But anyways, I have a Sound Edge 15, so it's got the you know, the little ripples on the bottom, and so what I do is I just set it on here. The reason I do 15, because sometimes with 16s, especially with clip-on mics, it can be a little difficult to get it on and off. So it's this one's a lot.
As C.
Yeah,
right there.
this one's a lot easier to get on and off. But so basically, I kind of just play into the bell a little bit. Kind of like a really cool sound, and so that's really what the whole song was based around. When Tyler and I wrote it with a buddy of ours, we did that loop, and so we essentially on the record it's this. It's me doing a 16th straight loop that goes through the whole song, and then me playing around it, and you know, with the cymbal still on the drum. So it's really fun. It kind of gives you another color, you know, that totally sounds different than if I was to play it on a, you know, a hi-hat or like another crash cymbal muted or something like that, which I've done in other songs. But for whatever reason, the way that responds with the resonance of the floor tom as well is super cool, and I think it's unique and different. And every time we do shows and do that song, it was a single off a certain record, so we play it every night, and everybody's like trying to figure out what's going on. You know, what is that? What is he doing? And so yeah, man, it's super cool.
Yeah, because it's like the trash tom.
Totally.
When people are doing trash stacks, I think this is another creative way to flip a cymbal, get it on to a different piece of the kit, and add another color, especially when you're playing a one up, one down.
Totally.
Yeah, that's really, really creative,
I feel like
man.
too,
That's awesome.
you know, doing something like that, and like I said, that song was really born from this idea. And I tell my students all the time, I'm like, hey, you know, set up your kit in a different way. Do something that's gonna make you approach the drums in a new way. Do something that's going to make you sit behind the kit and go, I have to play something different because I don't know how to do anything else. I think as drummers we can become so like, this is what you do, you know? And I think when you can sometimes pull yourself out of that creatively and, you know, just like orchestration-wise, like just how your kit is set up or whatever, doing silly things like that really help as well, I think, too, just to get different colors. You know what I mean? Different, like a different palette to play with. Yeah. You know, especially when you're writing, if you do that, or recording or anything like that. Like, how can let's get something really weird. You know, what can we do to get something that's kind of off or left to center? Yeah, and you're certainly doing it with this awesome setup. Yeah, man, and I love this kit. And what are you smacking it with? Yeah, so these silly thing about me is I kind of switch depending on the gig and depending on how I'm feeling. No, I got these right here because I set these out. So cool. Now I like longer sticks. These are the exact same length, but they are different sticks. So a lot of times with the Shakedown, I use 1/8, Vater 1/8. I've been with Vater since I think it was 2019. It was the year that I got married, and is when I switched. And I love these sticks, man. I started playing with Vaters. I played with the 7A Manhattans. Mm-hmm. If you know those sticks, they're great sticks, but I could never play those in this gig. I would destroy them right and left. I actually did. The first time I met Tyler, that's what I was playing with, and I broke like 15 that night. And I was like, I don't have any money to buy sticks. I love these. These are great, and I love the tips on them. And they're very similar tips, but these are the 5/8 stretch, and they're like I said, the same length, but they're a little bit just smaller. They're not as heavy. So for this venue, we're doing a private gig tonight. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do something that's a little bit on the backside of like not too aggressive. I can be a little bit more delicate with the cymbals with these 5/8 stretches, whereas these are a little bit more like, hey, I'm playing a stadium, here we go,
Right.
you know, and kind of just depends on how I'm feeling, but I always have both of them, and sometimes you grab one by accident and you're playing with one 5/8 and one 1/8, and then so in the case that happens, I'm switching to the big guy with the snare because I want that backbeat to be big and heavy. And another thing that I do too, I think that, I mean, a lot of guys do it, but I do it all the time pretty much. Is I do
The thing.
yes, backwards.
Grab it on the shoulder.
In my left hand. So I'm always getting that beefy backbeat. To me, I like the way that this feels.
But I mean, the tone is completely different.
It is.
So
and
it's like it's a different.
And sometimes, you know, if I'm really playing the rim and really being like playful with that, like I'll give you an example. Look at me reaching for sticks. Really kind of like playing off that taper, right? I'm really playing with that. But if I'm rocking, like I was with this group, where I want the backbeats to be really even and all the notes to be kind of the thing, be like bang right in your face. I'm rocking this way. So a lot of times in our set, I'm playing butt end, you know, butt end.
Because you're inverting the fulcrum, you're throwing all the weight at the snare, so you're getting a lot more power and just
straightforward,
bang.
just bang.
Yeah, right.
And so and man, if I'm feeling even super wild, sometimes like in the outro of our set, that's just instrumental. I'll bang, and I'm just full on. We did a tour. We did a tour with Seven Dust many years ago. Morgan Rose, his signature sticks, which are Vater, I believe, there's no tip. They're just like this. They're they're just butt end sticks, and that's what he does. And so I always think about him because when I do, that's how his sticks are, and they're like tree trunk, like literal tree trunks.
Right.
But yeah, man, I think that's.
Well, you're certainly a great guy to be a Gretsch ambassador.
Thank you.
Fly these things all over the world and just
Thank you. I appreciate
crush.
you saying that. I appreciate you saying that. Those guys are the best, and you know, been to a lot of Gretsch events and gotten to do some shoots with them and stuff like that, and just the drums that they make. You just can't beat them.
Yeah.
And I love them, and I love the people there, which honestly for me means a lot. And you know, the fact that I've been playing these drums and they've been so kind to me for this long, you know, 15 years now, which is crazy, is very cool. So kudos to them. Andrew, thank you. Yeah, I do a bunch of teaching as well, you know, online. If you're in person in Nashville, I do that as well. I love doing that. Been doing that a long time. And I just think for me personally, I learned so much in that teaching spot, you know, and I think if you can continue to kind of always be in that learning mode. I think as players, as artists, as creatives, that's the best, you know. And even sitting here talking to you, and you know, you don't always like get to explain things, like, you know what I mean. And so I think it's fun, man. I love it.
Yeah, I've been very blessed to get to sit down and talk to drummers about gear and just like stick in the gear part of it. I think it's a long time coming, and you were certainly on the top of my list, being an old friend. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for sitting down with us today.
Thank you, man.
Awesome.
I feel like before I saw you maybe the last time I saw you was at our neighborhood Kroger.
Yeah,
right?
Kroger. It's always Kroger, man. That Kroger.
In the produce,
Yeah,
always.
yeah.
I always see this guy. Hey, man, what's up?
Hey, man, what's up? I don't know. Buying lettuce again, I guess.
Again. So,
awesome.
Thanks
for having us too, man.
Thank you.
We are here in Nashville, Tennessee with Caleb Crosby of Tyler Bryant, the Shakedown. This has been the Drum Rundown. We will see you on the next one. Woo!